then I'm going to go here and make you the host. So when I escape, the meeting doesn't close.
Love that.
All right, everybody. I'm going to escape, but for the Smithsonian, I'll give an introduction to the Sean Cody. I referenced you on the quick start this morning, sir, and I was about to reference the hockey hair, and I forgot you cut it all off.
Yeah, that's gone.
I also, though, I think I used the phrase dashingly good looking. So, Sean Cody, member of our ALC, our Associate Leadership Council for 2025. So, you can always come to anybody with your hopes and fears and raise your hand if you got concerns about things that are missing or questions about where things are. He is one of the voices at the table for the year that allows you to, maybe get your concerns to somebody or ask questions of things because he's been here long enough. He's tall enough for the ride. And our ALC, the Associate Leadership Council, acts as a board of directors. We don't have a board of directors because we're privately held. They will vote on policies and procedures throughout the year and guide the ELT, the executive leadership team, and Nathan in that's a cool idea, or maybe that sucks. So that's what we do. So he's a great resource for you guys. Also licensed in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. Uh, Capable of residential, also, although focused on commercial and most exclusively land. If you can't read his hat, I just read it for you. So, and the ambassador
Oh yeah, yeah.
for KW Land for New England, I believe, correct?
That's correct.
How
Yeah.
long is that presidency? 4 more years, 8 more? Is like a set? Are you like a senator? You just in there for life, or what are we doing?
It's
What's
well,
happening?
no, definitely not in here for life. But I think I'm going into my third year for that. This 2025 will be my third year. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. So, Sean's going to talk to you about generating leads, everybody's favorite part of the business. And I'll leave you guys with him. After this class wraps up, if you're in the building, head down the hallway. If you're not in the building, go to Keller TV. Your opportunity to take part in New Hampshire contracts will be happening. And then, of course, the All Partners meeting in person or online. As I said earlier, lunch tastes better when you're in the room, unless you're making something delicious at home, which I can understand as well. So we'd love to see you here for sure if you get a chance. Sean, thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Absolutely. Thank you.
See you, bud.
All right. To kind of get started, generating leads. I've taught this particular class for Ignite a few different times. So I do have a tendency, just knowing myself, to kind of jump ahead, and I'll cover some stuff that all of a sudden we will realize that we're going over a slide, and I'm like, hey, we just talked about this 5 minutes ago. Do you have any questions? But before I get started on all of this fun stuff, does anybody have any questions or burning concerns or anything like that that has come up in their business that they were hoping to get answered? That's fine. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, sure.
It's actually kind of a tax question. So I'm a new realtor. It's tax season.
Yep.
I haven't made any profit. My business hasn't made any profit in 2024. Should I do my taxes different, or do you guys have like a recommendation of who to go talk to about that?
Do you have a CPA?
I do not.
That would be my recommendation is have you already like set up an LLC and everything like that, or no?
No.
Okay. So if you haven't set up an LLC or anything like that, and you didn't make any, you made zero commission whatsoever, or okay. So yeah, most likely I would say double check with the office on that, but I believe you'll get a 1099, but it'll say zero on it most likely. But that's it. Yeah. Other than that, in terms of any tax questions, I would say that would be a CPA question. I am definitely not an accountant by any means. However, I just hired a tax strategist, which has been very helpful to me. So I recommend that once you get going. But yeah, in terms of that, you're probably still going to file the same way you normally would. But my guess is that 1099 is going to have nothing on it, obviously. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. But as you progress, definitely get in contact with a CPA and start having those conversations, because everyone's tax situation is going to be completely different. So
Mhm. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
you got it. Yeah. Anybody else? All right. Let's kind of get into it then. I think I pressed down. Yeah, perfect. All right. So I'm just gonna Is this here? All right. All right. So obviously we're going to start off, we're going to become the real estate expert. Today, we're going to be talking about lead generation, lead follow-up to transaction. Okay. Maybe not. Oh, I just got to click it. Never mind. All right. And for today's lead generation, we're going to go over generate your leads, grow your database, capture leads with open houses. Or actually, these, oh no, these are all the different course overviews, excuse me. Just, we're going to go through this. If anybody doesn't need, has their workbook, great. If you don't, scan the QR code, download that real quick. Give you guys a minute. All right. Today's agenda, lead generation model, sphere of influence, expanding your sphere of influence, lead gen best practices, then we'll recaps ahas, and we'll obviously go over your success system. My fear of failure was greater than my fear of lead generating. So what is lead generating? It's obviously one of the more, not necessarily complicated, but most feared practices that we do is going through everything and actually making the calls and having conversations with people that we might not have actually spoken to in years or months, or maybe it's just an awkward conversation in general. Sometimes you don't know what to say. Good news, there's a ton of different topics you can kind of go over. This is a really good time of year to do it too. The holidays just happened. It's a new year. You can call and find out what everyone's, New Year's resolutions were, or, what their new year, new me looks like, or if it's just, another year, same me, whatever you guys got going on. But that is usually one of the top fears of agents, is actually having the conversation and starting to branch out and just make those calls, or, shoot those text messages, or whatever the kids are doing these days for contact. I'm sure there's a new app out there that I've never even heard of that is old hat to you guys, but all right. So the 6 core competencies of a business is: 1, you have to lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments. So that's just that. Lead generate, having conversations, capturing their information, and converting those conversations, and not just having conversations, but actually setting appointments. 2, you're going to present to your buyers and sellers and get an agreement signed by them. 3, you're going to show buyers and market your sellers' properties. 4, write and negotiate contracts. 5, coordinate the sale to closing. And 6, manage the money. So that's like Ryan, like we're talking about, that's where that CPA is going to come in and help you out, at least in the initial steps. All right. So lead generation fears and myths. I think lead generation is really difficult. I don't have time to lead generate. I don't know what to say, and I'm afraid of making mistakes. So to kind of touch on all this stuff, again, lead generation is not complicated by any means. It's literally just having a conversation with somebody. It's shooting them a text message, and it doesn't need to even be about real estate at all. It doesn't need to be about real estate. It doesn't need to necessarily be about you, expanding your business. It could just be calling and having conversations about, like, how the Pats were terrible this year, and thank God Vrabel's coming back. It could be about that. It could be about, the fact that your pumpkin harvest was not as good as it was the year before, stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily need to be about that. For the most part, what you want to do is find out more about them. Definitely bring some topics, contribute to the conversation, but it could easily just be you calling and having what we call a care call. Hey, I was thinking about you. I haven't talked to you in a while. How are things going? How are you? I know, crazy market we're having out there, and just, for jobs and for everything, how's your family doing? How's Sam? Is he still playing hockey? What's going on with that? Doesn't necessarily need to be hard. Writing cards too can also be part of your lead generation. So everybody should, when they're having these calls, another good way to things that you want to say to them. So I don't know what to say. How about you just do your care call and you ask them for their birthday? If you don't know their birthday, ask them. Say, hey, I'd like to throw you on our birthday card list. You know, I didn't really realize what time when your birthday was. When is your birthday? You get that birthday, you put it into whatever CRM you're using. Obviously, here we're pushing for you to use Command. However, use whatever CRM you like the best. If it's the one you're going to use that. I don't care if you pay for it. I don't care if you use Command, which is not for free. You still pay for it, but you're already paying for it anyway. So I suggest you use it. But whatever you're using, use that. Put that birthday in there. That way you get notifications when that birthday comes up and you can handwrite them a birthday card. Everybody likes birthday cards. I don't care what they say. They say that, I don't really need that. No, you want a birthday card. Everybody likes getting a birthday card. So, like I was saying before, the fears and myths, it's not hard. It's super easy. You just need to do it. And sometimes you kind of need to kind of get over yourself to do it. I know for me, it was one of the hardest things. I was a career bartender for 20 years, and making that switch of the mindset from Sean, your local bartender, to Sean, your realtor, and starting to have those conversations, I would say it took me a solid year before I was really comfortable letting people know that I was in real estate. And then it started to kind of snowball. You know, I started working with some of the patrons that I had as a bartender, and they started talking about real estate stuff with me. The next thing you know, the guys that are sitting next to them. And I happened to work in a place, I worked at Lobster in the Rough, which is an outdoor venue that's right next door to our York office, although our York office was not there at the time. But it was a great local hangout, contractors, everybody in the trades kind of went there. It was a local haven for everyone that didn't want to deal with the beach. So it was great for me. It ended up being one of my better lead generation sources. So I know sometimes it's hard, but get over it. You'll be fine. All right. Kind of went over that already. As I said before, I have a tendency to jump. All right. So sphere of influence. So as you can see, we have this great little diagram here that is a bunch of different people. Now, that person in the middle is you. That first little circle is usually like best friends, immediate family. And as it goes out, it's the next step and the next step out to like associates, people you happen to know, you see them in the neighborhood. But your sphere of influence are the people that know, love, and trust you. They're most likely to do business with you than anybody else. Compared to another agent that they're talking to, if they might not actually know who they are and they're having a conversation, most people that if they know you and they know that you're going to do a good job, you're going to make sure that their interests are served. They're going to work with you over anybody else. Majority of large teams, high producing agents, their primary source of income is still their sphere of influence. And you can continuously add to it. Adding to your sphere of influence is exactly what you're doing when you're lead generating and you're talking to people and your Mets, the not Mets are the folks that you haven't had a conversation with. Mets are people that you have met, actually physically either met them or talked to them on the phone and had a conversation with them. But once you have them met, you put them into your touch program and you keep engaging with them and they become part of your database and your sphere of influence. But initially for you guys right now, your sphere of influence are going to be your friends and your family. Make sure you let everybody know that you're in real estate. And I'm sure the data has changed at this point. And there's probably a slide further down the line here that I'll end up having to breeze past because I'm now going over this. But originally it was, you had to remind them 7 times that you were in real estate before they remembered you were in real estate. So even your best friend, you have to constantly remind them. I think the figure is now 11 times, which I don't know between the past 8 years how it jumped from 7 to 11. You know, where those 4 extra times came in. Maybe it's just the increase of agents, not sure. But nonetheless, make sure you're having those conversations with your friends and family, because not only are they going to trust you because you know that they know that you love them or you trust them and they trust you, but also you're in their sphere of influence and they're going to want to support you as well. So they want to make sure they want to give you the business over somebody else and keep it in the family. All right. So sphere of influence, income, opportunity. Now, these numbers are a little dated. Our average commission here at our market center, I believe right now is 11,000. So take this grid here with a bit of a grain of salt. But take it from this standpoint. How many contacts do you have in your phone? Oh, you're zooming on your phone right now. All right, we won't do you. All right, I'm gonna who else do we have in here right now? All right. Deanna, are you there? Oh, yeah, that's right. You are Deanna. So you're watching this, yeah. I was literally sitting there. I'm like, that's really weird. We have two of them. Didn't even think about it. Well, Ryan, you're gonna get put on the spot. How many contacts do you have in your phone?
Oh, in my phone. Oh, okay. I thought you were
Yeah.
gonna ask about command.
No. So you're just simply gonna
Uh,
go into your phone. Do you have an iPhone?
no
Oh,
iPhone, Android here.
oh, all right. Green bubble person. Fair enough.
Yeah, green bubble person.
Yeah.
Sorry to ruin your plan.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Basically, just go in there. I don't know how it works on an Android, but is it easy for you to find out how many contacts you have in your phone?
To be honest, I don't know. Uh, I don't think so.
Okay. Thank you.
Doesn't look like there is.
All right. Well,
But probably I think probably over 300.
let's hope so. 89. Okay, so we got 89. Well, Ryan, I'm gonna just give you a quick little tidbit here. One, you should update to an iPhone, because then you would be able to easily scroll down and find out how many you have. Oh, she's got an Android and it was easy. Deanna beat you to it.
Wait, how do you do it?
Eh,
I don't even know.
I can tell you how to do it.
yeah,
Yeah?
there you
Please
go.
tell me.
All right,
Yeah.
if you go to contacts and then you hit edit and then select all, it tells you the total on top. So mine's 3,180 selected.
Oh, I was wrong. I have 163.
All right. Perfect. All right. So basically, you have a little tiny mini database of 163 people already in there. There are different ways. If I think it's the same way if you do it this way on an Android, but if you download the command app, you can actually import all your contacts from your phone directly into your command. If you're around, I can show you how to do it. If you're not around, I have no doubt there's probably something on Connect that can explain how to do it. But anyway, let's minimize this again. All right, so numbering your contacts in your phone are 250. If you have 250 people in your phone, this is again just an example, but potential closing opportunities from contacts, okay, is 81%, or excuse me, 8%. So that's 20 people. Potential referrals in that database. Please remember, even if you're not from New England, let's just say you're from California or you're from Texas, call those people too. Have conversations with them. They're going to trust you to interview an agent for them, and you can refer that business to another agent. Majority of my actual business is agent to agent referral. This past year for 2024, it was an even 75% of my business. And that's simply, I network with agents. I make sure I have good referral opportunities for them as well. And that comes back in kind. So making sure you have good referral partners is super critical. And if you can get referrals from your actual database where you don't owe them a referral, even better. But please remember that even if you're not from the area or you're lead generating and you're talking to folks that don't live around here, that's a referral opportunity. Average referral rate is 25% of commission. So that can add up to some real money. I handed out a lot of money in referrals last year. So anyway, referrals is 25. So total potential, that's 45. Average commission of $5,000, which we all now know that is not actually correct. Income opportunity is $225,000. Not too bad for only having 250 people in your phone and being able to call them and have a conversation with them. Again, doesn't have to be about real estate, but always remind them that you are in real estate. The one way you always kind of pick that up is ask them how things are going with work for them. It's very natural that they're going to ask you, oh, what's going on with work? Oh, it's funny you should ask. I just got into real estate. Kind of crazy, I know, but I decided to take the jump and I'm really excited to help as many families as I can. Don't be afraid to have those conversations. All right. As we talked about before, the sphere of influence, this is your database. All these lovely little people here. All right. So lead generation model. How many of you guys have read the Red Book or the Millionaire Real Estate Agent? Anybody? Have you read it? Just picked it up. Ryan, yay. You
I've read it.
read it. Right on. Perfect. It is one of those things. It's a very good book. It's got a lot of really great information in there. It's also, if you have trouble sleeping, pull that bad boy out. I guarantee you will be out like a light in no time. One suggestion, and I tell this pretty much at every class, anytime this book comes up. The Red Book is a great model for your business. However, in my opinion, the very first book that any real estate agent should read is Shift. If you have not read Shift, it's written by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan it as well. That talks about the activities that you are supposed to be doing regardless of the market. In my opinion, that should be the first book because you need to learn the daily activities of an agent, and then you can start focusing on the business. Get the activities done, then the business. So that's just my little plug for that. But the lead generation model is directly out of the MREA. So the first one is lead capture, and you're going to be doing that either prospecting or marketing. I know this slide is coming up, so I won't get into the difference between prospecting and marketing because I've done this before where I've gone on a tangent explaining it with this particular slide. And then all of a sudden the next slide comes up and it's even better than I explained it. So we're going to hold off on it for a second. But so step one is lead capture. Step two is you're going to take those leads and you're going to put them into your database. They're going to start off as leads, which meaning you're forming the relationship, and then they're going to get transferred over into contacts once you actually have a conversation with them, whether it's text, verbal, email, how, you know, the TikTok, whatever you guys are messaging on these days. Again, I don't know. Once you have those in contacts, you're going to cultivate those contacts for conversion. So you're going to interactive and needs-based offerings. And then step four, you're going to go into that loop where it's going to be either new and repeat or into referrals. And then it's going to go right back into it again. So prospecting and marketing are lead generation activities that deliver leads into your business. Now, prospecting versus marketing. Marketing is very passive. This is your online ads, your farming activities, your mailers that you haven't met with these folks yet. You're just kind of going to the post office and you're picking a certain area that you're sending everything out to. But again, advertising and stuff like that. It's money intensive. You're going to spend money on the advertising, but you're not the one that's going to have to go out there and actually make those contacts all the time. And it's majorly for long-term results. So again, you're constantly putting those ads in front of people, whether again, if you're sponsoring a local little league team or you're putting out Facebook ads, stuff like that. Prospecting is time intensive, it's proactive, and you get immediate results out of it. So again, like we were saying, like Facebook ads or, sponsoring a little league team would be a form of marketing. Prospecting would be door knocking, doing a TCPA compliant and friendly way, of either cold calling or anything like that. Now, if you have numbers in your phone, chances are they've raised their hand. They want to have conversations with you. You shouldn't be too worried about calling the people you know, love, and trust. However, if you do decide to get into dialing and cold calling and stuff like that, please do it in a TCPA compliant way. I've set up my own account for when I do stuff like that. It can be tedious, but necessary. You do not want to pay the fines. They're massive. So, but prospecting is exactly that. So like if you're going to go out there and door knock a neighborhood because you want to farm this particular neighborhood and you actually go out there and knock on actual doors and hand them the flyers, advertising an open house, anything like that, that's a form of prospecting. Okay, there we go. All right. Relationship management. A database is a container that holds the information of your leads and contacts. A smart database or data bank allows you to have planned and meaningful communication with your database. Especially if you are in the process of building your database, getting in really good habits of constantly touching your database. We say that originally it was a 33 touch when I joined. Now I believe we're up to like 48 touch programs. If I can remember it correctly. So the great Tiffany Hampton, she's a regional coach. She kind of reiterated, I believe it's 444, 12. So I can't remember what it is, but that gets you to 48, but I believe actually I have it. I'm gonna tell you 1 second. Stand by, because I know I'll totally mess this up. Yes, you're supposed to do 4 events, 4 calls, 4 messages, and then that turns also, you're supposed to send everybody 12 real estate emails, 12 fun emails, and 12. So adding in all those touches to try to make sure that you're constantly in front of them. Again, remember, like I said, it's now 11 times you have to remind people that know, love, and trust you that you're in real estate. Meeting somebody that's a potential seller down the road, constantly reminding them that you're the agent to go to, you're going to need to do a lot more than that. As your career progresses and as you are gearing up for that eventual move that maybe moves you out of real estate, you're not looking to produce anymore. You're either, say you had a team or whatever your situation is. When you're going to exit the business, your database is your retirement plan. When you hear about people building a business and then they sell their business for a large profit, this is your business to sell. You're not going to be able to have your face out there, your name on things. The business that you have to sell, the actual tangible thing that you have, is your database. So the more information, the more detailed your database is, the more money you will eventually make. That's the biggest thing. Making sure you have that as solid as can be and as informationally dense as you can be is going to be a great way for you to eventually one day exit out of the business, and that's what you're going to sell. All right. So leads are people who you have earned the right to at least have a one-way conversation with, meaning they've gone on your website, they've filled out yep, I'm Joe Smith and I'm joesmith@gmail.com. Yeah, I would like to get some emails from you. That stuff that you're going to be sending out to them, those people are leads. Contacts are people you've actually had a conversation with, whether it's through text or phone calls or emails. There's been some sort of back and forth. That's considered a contact. Relationships must be attended to, cared for, and cultivated. Again, like I was saying, making sure real estate is a relationship business. At the end of the day, I still get more business out of the relationships that I have than going out there and hunting for new ones. It's still important to constantly add to your database every day or every week or as often as you can. but it's really the relationships that actually make the business. Like I said, 75% of my business last year was agent to agent referral. And it's because I've cultivated those relationships with those referral partners. And the same can be said for your sphere of influence, the small little knit group of people who know, love, and trust you. I have a couple of really good friends who, no matter what, when they hear something about real estate, you need to call Sean. Even if it's not something I practice or I get involved in, and I can introduce them to the agent that will best serve them, they're making sure that those people are headed my way. It's very important. All right, types of communication, obviously a phone call, email, text message, an actual face-to-face conversation. I know that's crazy. I know it's weird to think about. Who wants to do that in these days? But taking somebody out for coffee surprisingly goes a long way. Making sure you're belly to belly, it's a relationship business. KW app, also a really good way. I highly recommend it. Make sure you download it on your phone yourself, and make sure that you are the agent on there. So that way, when you share it and they download it and they start logging in, you are that agent that's on there. Handwritten communication. I know this sounds ridiculous. Actual pen and paper. Shocking. But handwritten cards are still one of the top ways of communicating with your database that actually still works. Please don't discard it. All right. And then finally, we're in that client and referral loop. Your database will generate leads in the form of new, repeat, and referral business. So like I was saying, I have clients that pretty much use me exclusively. I've worked with a lot of investors over the years. Sometimes they work with a bunch of different agents. I've developed that core group of investors and clients alike that whenever they make that move or they buy that next property, I'm getting the call. Repeat business is huge, especially when you have a good client like that. They're going to talk about you to their friends, to their other investors that they know, people in their world, making sure you're constantly cultivating that relationship. All right. And then you put it all together. Lead generation never ends. By the way, there are some agents that are going to be able to go out and they like to go out and have a drink or two. Some of them like to play squash. I don't know, whatever your thing is. If you're out there in the world and you're having conversations, that is lead generating. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be that, put it into a box where you stand there and you dial and you make phone calls every day, or you're sitting there text messaging people about real estate, or you're writing your handwritten cards. There's definitely a handful of agents in this office who built their business out of a bar, just going out to a bar, having a drink, meeting new people, having conversations. Don't be afraid to do it. I'm not saying go out and drink yourself stupid. That's never going to work out for you. You know, if you're the person that's going to go out and get drunk real quick, it's not going to work. So just be careful with that, but obviously. But you know, same thing. I know a handful of agents who they play a couple of different sports and they coach Little League or they coach this, and that local or sports organization is their little hub. They're constantly having conversations because everybody knows that's what they do. People come right up to them and ask. All right. So this is a good point in time to kind of take a break and find out about any ahas, see if anybody's got any questions, anything they want to talk about. Yeah, everything's an aha, right? Ryan, how about you? Anything?
All good here so far.
All right, cool. All right, so categorize your sphere of influence. Basically, the internet is unstable. That's not great. Well, let's hope it keeps going. But we're good. All right, cool. All right. So basically, this past slide that we were looking at is exactly that. It's categorizing your sphere of influence. So 1, you have immediate family. 2, you have friends. relatives, neighbors, past coworkers, hobbies and sports groups, teachers, worship club, volunteers, so church, professional services, financial and legal, personal services. Again, one of those things depends on what you're looking to do in your business. Networking with professional services, so like, your CPAs, your title companies, your inspectors, lenders, all those service providers that are not only going to be able to service during a transaction, but potentially outside of a transaction as well. Financial and legal services. So like I was saying, CPAs are one of those, attorneys are one of those. I know a lot of agents who network at a high level with divorce attorneys specifically. Obviously, divorces usually fruit some kind of sale for the most part, not always, but for me, in my land front of my business, I usually network with a handful of different engineering firms, surveyors. Those guys usually get called out to somebody. Usually, if they're doing a survey, about 50% of the time they're thinking about selling and making that move. So all those little tiny touches are really good for that. All right. So this is normally, we would say we'd all be in a room, but we're not in a room. We only just me and Deanna here. Categorizing your sphere of influence, you'd be kind of going through and do that activity. So, but put it on your calendar or time block. Take some time this week. Take some time tonight. Just start going through in your database in Command, and I'm assuming in some other databases, you can, or CRMs, not database, but CRM platforms, you can go through and tag. So like, and then tag about as much stuff as you can. Do they like barbecue? Do they like beer? Do they like to garden? Do they like to bedazzle things? Are they in your Rotary Club? Are they part of your graduating class? Whatever it is, make sure you go through and tag them as much as you can, because as time goes on, you're going to want to target them in different ways. You might want to advertise that you're doing like a big dog walk. You're all going to go for a big hike and do a dog walk, to support whatever X charity. And you might want to send that to people that have dogs or that support that charity. So really you'll be able to target that market. Build your sphere of influence day by day. Remember, you want to add to your database every single day. Try to have different conversations with as many as you can. Please, for the love of God, do not ask me his name. I'm not going to remember it. But there's a real big mega agent out of, I believe he's in San Antonio. He's got a huge large brim hat. He does a thing called 51st dates. And it's to do a coffee once a week. So get a coffee with somebody, go to lunch with somebody, and go to dinner with somebody. Now, obviously, like coffee is someone you're just kind of starting to get to meet. Lunch is someone that's already kind of into your atmosphere, and I'm butchering his thing, please. He will explain it much better. And if I can remember it, I will actually post it in here. And if you want to send me an email, I can try to find it and send it to you, because I do have it. I do have his whole playbook on that. But basically, and then dinner is, a past client. You want to make sure you're taking your clients out to dinner or something like that. Again, you don't need to do that, but he calls this 51st dates. So you're constantly nurturing your sphere and adding to your sphere every day. There we go. All right, bold law. Change the way you look at things, and things you look at change. Expand your sphere of influence. Add as much personal information to your sphere of influence contacts as humanly possible. Exactly what we were just talking about a little bit ago. You want to make sure that you're adding as much information in there, because eventually one day when you do want to exit the business, nobody wants to sell real estate forever. Maybe some do. I'm not sure who, but I'm sure somebody does. Make sure that you're adding as much information in there, because the more information that's in there, the more value it has. And expanding your sphere of influence, like we're saying, Just ask. Meet a new lender. Hey, I'd love to get coffee with you, find out more about your business. And of course, they want to do the same thing for you. Most lenders want to meet realtors anyway. Same thing with if you just joined a new pickleball league and you don't know too many people, ask them on out for coffee. Say like, oh, nice to meet you. Yeah, we should grab coffee sometime. Go for it. Why not? All right. Strengthen your casual connections. This particular picture hits home to me. I've got a couple little kids and they're all in youth sports. So I'm definitely this dude from, I mean, this is, clearly 30 years ago, but I'm definitely that guy in the hat hanging out with one kid, watching another kid play soccer. For me, that's a really great way to have conversations. You're all standing there. Might as well have a conversation, talk about different things. Oh, what do you do for work? Oh, this and that. And eventually they become into your sphere of influence. You end up knowing them. You know their kids, you know their family, you know what they do for a living, which you can all put into your database. And eventually, hopefully that turns into a transaction. I've got to say it. This picture always cracks me up every single time that it comes up because like they're blatantly volunteering, but this guy does not look happy. This woman all the way on the left-hand side, she's just like ready to go home. She's just done. It cracks me up every time. She's like, I can't believe we're still here. Anyway, so join groups that will connect you with people in similar interests. So the same thing, if you're interested in pickleball, but none of your friends want to play pickleball, join a pickleball league. Why not? Full disclosure, I don't play pickleball. I have zero interest in playing pickleball, but that's the new trend, so I keep bringing it up anyway. But yeah, if you're interested in something, join it. Like if you're into agriculture, if you're into bees, join a beekeeping club or association. If you're into macrame, get into it. I'm sure that's a pretty tight-knit community as well. Who knows? And then the referrals as well. Here's one of the biggest things that I know a lot of other agents have built their business onto, and that is referrals within your business community. Now, I focus on agent to agent referrals. That's been pretty good for me. There's a lot of other folks that get into business relationships in their community. So BNI, Rotary, Chamber of Commerce, all that stuff. Meeting other business owners in the area. They will refer you business, you refer them business, you provide value, they'll provide value. It's a reciprocal relationship. And I know a lot of agents who they focus on their core people in their community, their core business owners. They refer them a ton of business, they get referred a ton of business. So you're expanding your sphere of influence doesn't necessarily have to be all these random people that you meet at different places or call. It could be simply business to business or B2B. Meet those other business owners. That might be the best thing for you. And I will say this, if you're getting into commercial real estate, that's a huge one as well. But everybody's needs a place to live. So make sure you're cultivating those relationships as well. Also a good way to keep touches and expand. All right, here we go. Gather leads from your sphere of influence. I'm building my business on people I know and the people they know. Do you know of anyone from family, friends, work, or your neighborhood, or a group you belong to who's thinking of buying, selling a home, or investing in real estate? I'd be pleased to be a resource for them. These are little scripts. If you hear of someone with a real estate need, will you keep me in mind and let me know right away? Obviously, these sound rehearsed, right? Find different scripts to have, and all scripts are things for you to say in response to or start the conversation with. Now, I think scripts are really good for getting the basics. As we've talked about all our models, you have to have the foundation first, and then you get creative at the top. If you flip it around, it's going to fall over. In my opinion, learn the scripts first, learn the basic idea and rebuttal to that conversation, or the how to start that conversation, or how to ask that question, and then make sure you're putting it in your own words. Because if it doesn't sound like you, and it sounds rehearsed, people are going to pick up on that. Especially people who actually have had a conversation with you before, and then all of a sudden you're regurgitating the stuff that is on our screen right now. They're going to be like, yeah, that sounds salesy and rehearsed. And if they're really good friends, they'll call you out on it right then and there and be like, so I know where you're going with this. That was completely rehearsed. Try that again. It's really funny. I have a really good friend of mine. He sells cars. And so I went in there, I was expecting my daughter, and I was trading in my truck, and I was buying an SUV. These things happen. And at that moment in time, I was hoping for a little bit of a better payment, and it was going to be a little bit better, but not much better. And I was sitting there, and he was using what's called a pain and pleasure script on me. And it's basically like, well, yeah, this might not be exactly what we're doing, but do you want to wait this long and then have to deal with this later? This might end up being a worse decision for you. If you go a little bit more mileage on this, then the value is going to be less. He's pushing that pain point to me, reminding me like, yeah, you should do this, which I kindly reminded him that I also do this for a living. I know exactly what you're doing. Do better next time. But yes, I will be buying this car anyway. So it's really funny to me, anybody that's in sales or anything like that, when they start doing those different things, and I can sit there, I'm like, yeah, like I've been to this class too, buddy. I know exactly what you're doing. So just kind of remember those things. It's always kind of fun to tweak them a little bit, but make sure it sounds like yourself. Don't necessarily. There's a lot of great scripts. Jeff Glover has a lot of great scripts that he puts out for free to everybody if you sign up for his stuff. They're great. They're phenomenal. In my opinion, they're some of the best that are out there, but like make sure they sound like you too. Best practices, track your lead sources. I am very poor about tracking my database interactions and my leads and everything like that. I'm terrible at it. Just tracking my numbers in general, my appointments, my Mets, I'm awful at it. Do better than me. The more you track, the more you know. So track your lead sources, audit those lead sources, add diversity to your database, and be confident with it. Time block your lead generation time. This is also really critical. And as a new agent, you're also going to be on the road a lot. You're going to try to be doing different things for different people to help gain the confidence, get some experience, and learn what you need to know so you can do your business. There were periods of time where I would have to time block a half an hour here, a half an hour there, because I was either working another job or I was on the road, and I knew in between appointments, all right, cool, I'm going to have a half an hour that I can pull over and sit on the side of the road and do some lead generation, make my calls. But time blocking is critical. And when you put something in your schedule, you need to stick to your schedule. Now, obviously, there are certain things that come up that need to be altered a little bit. But consistency is key. The more consistent you are, the better your business is going to become. Make sure that you are time blocking, because once you put it in your calendar, you need to live by your calendar. So one, you need to prepare, mindset, practice, and work on your call list. Take action with these conversations and maintain. So add to your database and follow up with them. But I cannot stress this enough. If you have a certain period of time every day that you're going to lead generate, whether it's 9 to 5 or 4 to 6 or whatever it is, the recommendation is that you actively lead generate 3 hours every single day. That's your primary job, is to go out and find the business. Especially once you learn how the transactions will go and you can kind of plug and play that portion of it, your main job is to go out and continuously find new business. But time blocking really helps. Cool. I know every single day from 9 to 11, this is my time. This is my one thing. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to make calls to this on Monday. I'm going to call these people on Tuesday. Go through it. obviously we have different times. You know, there's Fight Club every Tuesday and Thursday from 9 to 11, where we all log on and can kind of support each other during our lead generation time when we're making calls. That's a really good time to kind of jump in there. I highly recommend it. If you don't want to do that, or if that time doesn't work for you, that's fine too. Just make sure you're putting it in your calendar and you're taking the time to do it. All right. Battle distractions, which is a huge issue for me. ADHD brain, constantly all the time. So build a bunker, store provisions, sweep for mines, and enlist support. What do these mean? So for me, I prefer not to lead generate here in the office. Most people tell you they have to come into the office or not. My office is here in Portsmouth. If I end up trying to lead generate here, it's not a true bunker. When they say build a bunker, basically make sure you're closing off. So some folks can do that here. They're going to shut the office. They're going to put a hanger on the front, do not disturb, make sure nobody will come in. They store provisions, meaning they've got their coffee, they've got their bacon, egg, and cheese ready to go. They're all set. That way they can have conversations, take a bite to eat, have a sip of coffee, continue on and not have to leave. Sweeping for mines is putting your phone on do not disturb. That way no calls are coming into you if you're doing something on a Zoom call. Making sure that your social media is off of your computer. Things like that. Enlist support. So if you have like a friend or you're an office mate, hey, I'm going to be doing some lead generating. Do me a favor. If you see someone go to knock on my door, yell at them that I'm lead generating. I can't talk to them right now. If you're at home and you have kids or your spouse or whatever your situation is, try to have them help you out. Hey, do me a favor. I've got to lead generate for the next couple hours. Like, can you just make sure you've got the kids? Or, can you make sure the dog's getting let out on a regular basis? Because as soon as I hear them bark, I'm going to want to walk out the door and let them out. Things like that. But battle those distractions. I know if I'm here, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably going to do a half an hour's worth of calls. And then all of a sudden I'm going to walk around. I'm going to want to walk around the office. I'm going to see somebody, or next thing you know, someone's going to be knocking on my door. Brad Kelly, probably. Pete, my office mate, will obviously end up bringing up something, things like that. All right. Another good point to stop. We're cruising through this, just so everyone's aware. But does anyone have any questions, ahas, anything like that?
I forgot about Fight Club. Thank you for the reminder. I'm definitely
Yeah,
going to try to
absolutely.
hop on.
Definitely do.
I also time blocked some lead generation for me earlier in the week. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. It's surprising to me when I get over that, because like I'm actually a very introverted person. If there's an option for me not to intertwine with the humans, I'm totally going to take that option. Like, that's what's going down. It's anytime I go to like a meetup or I go to a networking event, I'm totally that guy that's sitting there with a soda water, not talking to anybody and hoping someone will walk up to me, because like, I'm just not going to go walk up to people and be like, hey, so who are you? So awkward for me. But, it's crazy to me when I make those calls and I kind of just mentally get into a different mindset, and I call somebody that from like high school who I haven't talked to in like 15 years or 20 years, and we end up having a great conversation. I've actually gotten a good amount of business over the years from folks who like I haven't talked to in absolute years. I actually got one of my bigger deals from somebody that was like, hey, you should talk to Sean. This person called me, and the name that they dropped of who they got my contact from, I probably hadn't talked to them in like 3 years. Like, that's mind boggling to me. Like, oh yeah, call that dude. He'll take care of it. No problem. it's crazy to me. So yeah, making sure you're having those conversations with folks who, you know, you might not necessarily talk to on a regular basis. You know, I've got that group of friends from high school and, you know, from like playing hockey and, you know, I was in beer and bars for a long time. So people from that beer community, you know, like every now and then I touch base with them and they're like, yeah, I've been seeing the stuff you're doing online. It seems like you're having a lot of success. Like I'm definitely sending people to you. It's mind boggling to me. So, definitely don't worry about it. Just pull the trigger. All right, your success system. We're pretty much at the end of the slides. So, like I said, we kind of breezed through this in about an hour, which I'm probably going to get a hard time for. However, what I would like you guys to do at this point in time, let me see if I can go back. Can I go back? This thing here. Oh, there we go. No, that's not what I want. Let's see, where is it? And we're going to start from here and then we're going to go through. This is what I'm looking for. All right. While we're sitting here, I would actually like you guys to go through this and tell me what your potential income opportunity is. So get the number of contacts on your phone. Go through step A, B, C, D, and E. And just for instance, we're going to say average commission, market center average commission right now. And it might not be yours, depending on what you're doing in the market you're playing in. But we're going to say the average commission is $11,000 because that's what it is in this market center, at least right now. Back when I first started in 2017 here at Keller Williams, average commission was about five grand. Don't be shy. If you got your number, let me know. Carrie, what's your number? Oh, she left. So remember, you're going to take A times 0.081 to give you your potential closing opportunities. 177,000. What would that do for you? A lot, man. Yeah, that's good money. And remember, referrals are, there's a handful of agents out there that don't actually take any volume whatsoever. All they do is network and hand off referrals, and they make a pretty good living at it. It's not. So mainly because like at the end of the day, you're not always going to be playing in that same sandbox. You know what I mean? They're going to be all scattered out throughout the country, especially nowadays. You know, it used to be a different story when, you know, communication was a little bit smaller, everyone was a little bit more tight knit. Yeah, that's amazing. And like we have, so in Keller Williams, like we have we're international, we're all over the place. You should definitely start looking to see what market centers are out there. I don't know if there are any. I would imagine there are, but I would look into it. You know what I mean? Because that could be a nice, easy way for you to hand things off to people. So, all right, Ryan, you got your number?
286,000.
That's awesome. That's a pretty good number. I like that one too. Carrie, are you still there or no? She left. Yeah, she bailed. She could be in contracts probably. Has everyone met Carrie? Carrie Kellerman?
Yes.
So Carrie Kellerman. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's right. You were in there yesterday, right? Yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. So Carrie is she's our on-site mentor. She's that kind of here to help all the new kids kind of get established and everything like that. It's not something you have to do, but she is here as a available resource to you. So, all right, excellent. So in terms of other lead generating opportunities, what are you guys doing right now? Ryan, what are you doing right now for lead generating?
Sphere of influence, uh, like FISBOs. I think I want to start calling FISBOs.
Okay.
But mostly sphere of influence and social media.
Okay. So your sphere of influence, how are you touching your sphere of influence?
A lot of face to face. A lot of face to face. I have a lot of hobbies. Networking. I actually had to go to a networking event at the Seacoast Board of Realtors very soon.
Right on.
Yeah, so that's kind of my target, but I really want to start implementing like I don't know if it's cold calling because I'm calling people from like for sale by owners,
Yep.
but I think that's definitely a more direct way I can go about it.
Okay. One, yes, like 100%. Like for sale by owners that's you're still cold calling, because you don't know them, right? I'll give you a little tip on for sale by owners. I do it on occasion myself. The number one time, the best time to call FISBOs is on Mondays.
Okay. Did not know
Reason
that. Why?
So you end up having a conversation with them at one point in time. They're like, oh no, we're gonna sell it ourselves. They're like, oh yeah, no, I'm just calling. So, hi, I'm Sean Cody with Keller Williams. The reason I'm calling is, I don't particularly have a buyer necessarily for your property. However, to be the agent of choice and the expert in my area, I like to know all the available options for my clients. And if I end up meeting a potential buyer for your property, I'd like to know as much about it as I can. Would I be able to come out and see it? Oh, sure, you can come out and see it, or no, not unless you have a buyer, right? So you start those conversations. But the reason why you call on Mondays is usually a lot of times they want to have an open house or they're going to try to do things themselves. So how'd this weekend go? How were the showings? Do you have any offers? You don't? Okay. All right. Well, what do you think you could have done differently to get more people inside the house to find, to see if you could help find a buyer? What kind of marketing are you doing? And you're basically doing a pain and pleasure. And you're having the conversations with them because by Monday, especially the first weekend when they put it on, they're burnt out. They have no idea what's going on. They've got, 5 different people calling them. None of them want to make offers. They just want to see the house. The house isn't, presented in a correct way. They've got the guy who's selling it himself kind of awkwardly walking them through the house. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't go well. And again, I don't have the statistic, but they do have the numbers that out there that prove when you do have an agent, I believe you get roughly about 25% higher price. I want to say 25%. I'm probably lying, but so don't quote me on it. But yeah, definitely like start having those conversations with FISBOs. Try to go and see the property. But if you don't have a buyer for it, don't say you have a buyer for it because that's complete. Now you're misleading.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. But say to them, I'm trying to be the expert, or I am the expert of in real estate in my community. And just so when I do meet these people, if your property is still available, I want to make sure I'm presenting that as an opportunity for them. Okay. And again, make sure when you're calling FISBOs, if they're advertising their phone number, and they might not, they might want to only be contacted by email only. So if you are calling them, make sure you're doing it in a TCPA friendly and compliant way. Nobody wants to break off 40 grand because you called somebody and they're actually on the list and they reported you. Nobody wants to deal with that. And if they do say, hey, I'm on the do not call list. Oh, I'm really sorry. Sorry about that. I will update my notes, and you hang up. Do not argue with them like, oh, well, I don't see you on the list. I checked your number. It's not on here. Don't argue with them. Just apologize, say thank you. I'll update my notes and hang up. All right. Because nobody needs any of that stuff. How about you? How are you? What's your lead generating look like right now?
So I'm focusing on building my local network.
Yep.
So I'm reaching out to friends and letting them know that I started this journey.
Yep.
I'm planning on joining like the SPCA for volunteer work.
Okay. Yeah.
Just get myself out there.
Yeah. That's it. You know, back in my bartending days, I knew a bunch of different agents who actually, they would, you know, for them, it was just, you know, going out there, they'd have a couple of their friends and they would be a team for trivia. They wouldn't like host it or sponsor it or anything like that. But their team name was Sean Cody Realtor Team. Like that was their team name. And like, they're like, listen, guys, this is what we're doing. I'm going to buy the first round, but this is the name of the team. Cool. Definitely something to think about. I've got a few, not a lot, but I got a few. Trying to see if there's anything else I want to really make sure I touch base here with. Yeah, we kind of breezed through this one today. Ryan's off for a minute. Do you have any questions, scenarios, anything like that? I tell this the same thing to everybody, is focus on your current sphere. So like if you got, how many do you have? You said 80 what? 89 people on your phone. Start with them. Like if you can call every single person on every single 89 people on there, call them and let them know. Just begin that start. And let that kind of grow from there. Do you have an idea of what you want to do in real estate in terms of like a practice?
Potential.
Okay.
I would like to do waterfront properties, but I'm sure I need experience before I can.
Yeah, but you're not going to get experience until you start doing it. So in my opinion, the best way to start is one, it's always with your sphere. Just start with your sphere. That's easiest and most plug and play way. What you're going to focus on in terms of a practice, whether it's residential, commercial, or land, or, you know, if you're going to have a niche of coastal homes, or if you're going to work with investors only, and they're primarily going to be looking at multifamily, like whatever it is. In my opinion, if you have a goal of like, I want to start working on coastal properties, awesome. That's a good way. That's a good goal. But first, whatever your sphere is going to be into, if it's going to be residential, like focus on what they're doing, because that's going to be a nice, easy deal for you. Not easy, I shouldn't say it that way, but it's going to be a transaction that you'll be easier to step into, especially. So like learn as much as you can about the residential market you're in. Start learning about coastal homes on top of that. So like if you go to one, make sure you're hitting all of their open houses, go view those listings, learn as much as you can about shoreland issues. You know, all the shoreland stuff for New Hampshire just changed. Make sure you're up to date on that. Post that kind of stuff on social media about shoreland. And obviously in our market here, if you're working in coastal, 9 times out of 10, you're in luxury. You know, a lot of these coastal homes are luxury homes. You know, it might not necessarily by aesthetic, but by price point. You know, it could be a shack, but it's worth $8 million because it's got, you know, 10 acres of, you know, coastline in Kennebunk, you know. So one, start looking into that as well. Luxury, I know, you know, I would sit there, I would have a conversation with Adam Dow. He's our ambassador for luxury for the region. He's a really good resource for that. He's got a lot of training. Luxury, I know there's some options that you can pay. But I believe the majority of you have to earn into it. Every market's going to have a luxury threshold. I'm gonna say ours was over 700. I'm sure it's changed by now. But yeah, double check all that stuff, but start looking into that as well. Because if that's an interest of yours and you want to be working on coastal homes, which I totally think is awesome, like make sure you're starting to like learn the things that are going to go along with coastal homes. But in the meantime, focus on your sphere. If they're looking in Concord, if everybody you know is looking in Concord, focus on Concord, start building your business and then adding in the interest as you go along. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, cool. And obviously try to get as many referrals from Singapore, right? Yep. There you go. I love that. And you've already handed it off? That's awesome.
I don't know if they're doing a good job.
Well, how do you not know?
Heard they reached out for a meeting and then they didn't attend the
Oh,
meeting.
yeah. How did you meet that agent?
I was on the list,
Okay.
and they had the highest sales and close in that area, and
Gotcha.
they had 5 stars on Google
Yep.
with multiple reviews.
Okay. Okay. The one thing about me when it comes to agent A referrals, like that's been my bread and butter. Not every agent is going to take your clients as seriously as you would. And finding those people that are going to treat your people the correct way does take time. Sometimes you end up having to phase people out. Sometimes the highest producer isn't necessarily the right agent for them. Sometimes those higher producers are going to send a different buyer's agent to go meet with them. That might not be what you're looking for, might not be what your people are looking for.
If I sent a referral and it was accepted, can I send a referral to a different agent in that area?
So the way that I work it, especially if it's a new area, or if a bunch of agents that it's an area that I don't necessarily have a referral partner in, I do find multiple agents and I give, you know, I make sure I have a conversation with that referral client or that customer. And I give them all 3 contacts, but I make sure that I can give their contact to the agent as well. That way they have multiple people interviewing for that position. And then you follow up with everybody. But you should, yeah, as long as they don't have a signed contract, you should be able to refer to as many people as you can. I wouldn't send them, you know, 8 names, you know, but once you find that go-to referral partner in that market, hands down, double down on them, make sure you are feeding them because they will do like in kind. They'll send you referrals when people are looking out in this neck of the woods too. So if you have somebody in Wisconsin that's not producing for you right now, call that agent. Have you called them? Yeah, like for me, if I hand a referral and something like that happens where the agent doesn't show up for the meeting and I find out, like, I don't care if it's at 8 o'clock at night. Like I'll like tell my kids, I'll be like, hey, go brush your teeth, put your jammies on. I'll be up in a minute. But I'm calling that agent being like, where were you? Like, what happened? Was there a reason? Was it just simply a miscommunication? Did you accidentally put it in your calendar the wrong day? Was it your referral's mistake? Did like you schedule it with them for Wednesday, but they showed up on Tuesday? Remember, it might not be their particular fault, but it could be. So definitely address that sooner rather than later, because the longer the time goes on, the more impatient most buyers or sellers are going to get, and they're going to start looking for other resources. You know, unless they're like, yeah, I'm not looking to sell my property for another 6 months. You know, when this guy gets back to me, he gets back to me. Like you might have one of those folks.
They're looking at the March.
Yeah. So if they're looking, they need to move in March.
They're selling.
They want to sell in March. So yeah, I mean, in my opinion, they need to start getting ready now. So make sure you touch base with that agent and say, hey, nothing's happened. Like you missed an appointment. Can you tell me what happened here? You know, don't accuse them right away, you know, but just make sure you're finding out what's going on. Because if they're not gonna service your referral correctly, you do need to go find somebody else and find somebody else quick. So, did you find them through like a KW referral program? Okay, cool. Yeah, I would definitely do that. All right. All right, well, I'm gonna stay on for a little bit longer. If anybody has any questions or anything like that, feel free to ask. Let me go through the whole thing here. So get
I
down
gotta
to
hop
the-
out.
Nay, not a problem, Ryan. Thank you very much for coming, buddy.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You definitely
thank
gave
you.
some great points. Actually, I really liked what I was just hearing about the referrals and having multiple referral agents. Great
Absolutely.
idea. I'm definitely going to hold on to that one.
Excellent. And you know what I'm going to do is I'll do this real quick because I know you got to jump, but I'll put my contact info in here real quick for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Feel free to give me a call anytime. I'm always available. Well, not always available. I got a 5-year-old that's pretty spicy, so that sometimes jumps into the play there.
Fair
But feel
enough.
free to,
Thank you very much, sir.
no problem. Thank you.
Have a great day, Deanna.
You too.
She says bye. All right. Well, it seems it's just me and Deanna is actually here in the room. I'm going to kill the Zoom or turn the Zoom off, not kill.